Energy and focus are the two kind of resources that bring you life and that lead to your innate optimism for whatever you're doing. And if you're not optimistic, if you don't have the passion, like it feels like swamp.
If you're an entrepreneur who's built success but feels stuck in the grind, this podcast is for you. On the Live More Show, we give you short, powerful conversations to help you become more tax-savvy, time-rich, and totally free. Here's your host, Melanie Sikma.
The fastest way to stop trading time for money is to own something that works without you. My guest today is Leo Young, founder of Cornell Communities. He operates over 500 units of manufactured housing across 8 states and has led over 75 million in transactions. Today, we're talking about building assets that scale and how profit can actually meet purpose. So Leo, let's jump in. Before this, you were the #1 regional salesperson at Tesla. Why'd you walk away from that into something that most people, you walked away from something that most people would kill to have. Why'd you walk away from that to start this?
Yeah. Oof. So Tesla was my dream job at the time. I fell in love with the Model S when I first saw it, and just learning about Elon and his mission. I mean, it was a dream company to work for. So it was indeed a tough job to walk away from. There were a couple moments in life that just kind of shake you awake a little bit. And I kind of took that to heart. So for me, I was on their sales team, and like we were just a bunch of A players, like crushing it, like working very hard. But also the flip side of crushing it is that you get burnt out. You're working super extra hard. So in doing that, I just got kind of burnt out through like just getting that hollow feeling, like, oh man, like I'm just going through the motions, like, again and again and again, month in and month out. And, one of my colleagues, his father died suddenly, and that kind of just shook me. I was like, okay, I need to build income that's not dependent on me. Like if I get hit by a car tomorrow, like I'm screwed. So then I got into real estate because I was like, intuitively, rich people invest in real estate. So
it's true.
I did that. I did that. I looked into it, found my first passive investment opportunity. I pulled the trigger. I invested in it, got my first check in the bank. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. I get to leverage people and just have cash flow going. So then sort of pivoted and changed course and like went all in on real estate.
So you built it up on the side a little bit, and then when did you make that jump from having a W-2 to jumping into full-time investing?
Yeah, it was about a year later, once I started investing, that I got my real estate license because I wanted to learn and earn. So I was helping different people with their real estate needs, from like rentals, sales, luxury houses, investment properties, like all sorts of different properties. So I learned a lot there, and then eventually worked for a real estate fund, just kind of seeing how institutions think of investments and like how they view it. So that was kind of the progression of my real estate career. And then, 5 years ago, started this business with a co-founder who sort of sat me down one time, and he's like, Leo, mobile home parks, let me tell you about it. So it made a lot of sense to me because 2 things. One, obviously, like baseline, you have to be able to make money, because then otherwise like it wouldn't happen, right? But 2, it actually had a good social component to it. So the social impact is that you're continuing on providing affordable housing to people. And that to me was special, because when I worked at Tesla, I wanted to help the world's sustainable energy transition be quicker. So me, like I always want to have impact in what I do.
Yep. I'm right there with you. That's great. Now, do you feel like you have the freedom that you left Tesla for now?
Yeah. So it wasn't like an immediate freedom.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a freedom moment. It was more so over time.
Gradual.
So I would invest in one deal, make some money, and put that money into more deals, and then get more cash flow. And then to a certain point, you're like, well, technically I can work or not, and I'll be fine because my expenses are covered.
That's great.
So it's a really liberating feeling to know that basically your worst case scenario is you're just chilling.
Yeah.
Versus some people, their worst case scenario, banks are calling after, credit cards are calling after them, right? They're
Yeah.
getting their car repossessed. Like it's a really bad future. So it's a matter of elevating your wall so
Yeah.
that you're in a better position.
A while back, my dad had, he's my business partner. And at the time, we weren't working together. He had a different business and he had a tree fall on him, and which is pretty wild. But he wasn't able to
Yeah.
work for like 6 to 9 months while he was recovering. And
Jeez.
at the time, he had a business that worked without him. And I saw the value of that, of having a business work without you, and to be able to just be set up for that because you just never know when a tree's gonna
Mhm.
fall on you. You don't plan for that,
Literally.
you know? So,
Yeah.
there's definitely
It's
some truth
crazy.
to what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's great.
And, I think most people, they don't realize it until it happens to them, and when it happens to them, it's almost a little bit too late.
Mhm.
And, to our investors, I'm grateful to have moments like this, like someone, was just telling me the other day, like she got let go, like her, downsizing at her company, and she's like, "Oh, like, I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball, like, I don't know what to do with my career now." But thankfully, like, there is a check that I can depend on, I
Yeah.
mean, from you guys, and it brightens up my day every time it hits, so, it's something, and, this person is like mid-career, he's, like, in her 50s.
So you don't only create it for yourself, but you create that for other people too, that peace of mind.
Exactly,
That's awesome.
exactly.
That does bring a lot of fulfillment. Now, back at Tesla, I'm sure you were a grinder. You probably were a hard worker, pedal to the
Yeah,
metal type of person to be the number one regional sales. Like, that's pretty
yeah.
impressive. Do you find it hard to pull yourself back from that now that you're in business for yourself?
No, I think it actually helped me because that trained my entrepreneurship muscle. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're in the marketplace of value, right? You have to deliver enough value for someone to be like, hey, this service that you're offering is worth more than this dollar in my hand. Let's transact. So to do that, I mean, it takes a lot of time, effort, and skills to build up that value. So no, I think it worked out really well because
That's
I
great.
just knew how to work hard. I didn't have an off button. No, exactly. It's a lot of hard work for a long time and a lot of failure to the point that you're, like, questioning, like, "Why are you doing this?" Like, your friends are questioning you, like, "Why are you doing this? You're not making money." But then you just have to stick with it, and then one day you're like, "Well, I'm glad I stuck with it."
Yeah. Yeah. Now, somebody that, our listener, if they're caught in their business, they're caught in the grind, and they have a way out because they have a business, but they don't really know what that is. What advice would you give them?
So a lot of people's default mindset about money is that it's this amorphous thing, right? Like we don't know much about it because we don't talk much about it in school. And subsequently, we're like, okay, do we have enough money? Can we retire? Can we do this? Can we do that? It's always a big question mark. The simple concept of money is there's vertical income and there's horizontal income. So vertical income, a lot of people make good vertical income. You have a good job, you make good money, you have a great business, you're crushing it. I mean, you're doing great, but when you stop working, that vertical income goes away. So what's your horizontal income? And that's what the investors build up over the years. I'll give you a story. So my mom, she was a career translator. That was her career.
That's
She
cool.
translated documents. And I mean, as you know, Google Translate exists now. And back exactly. But, to her, that took away her entire career. It wasn't like she can find another job. It's like, why do we need translators anymore? Like we
Yeah.
have Google Translate.
Yeah.
So, but fortunately, she learned the power of investing and compounding interest early on. So, she diligently invested everything that she can into cash flowing assets, some of them, and others that are, investments that compound more. So then, when that day came, it's not like, oh, like the sky's falling. It's like, okay, this kind of sucks, but what next?
Mhm. Yeah. Now, in the pre-show questions we ask you, you mentioned how you grew up in financial scarcity. How did that shape the way that you think about money? Did you have to make shifts in your mind when you moved into, adulthood and growing into entrepreneurship? How did that shape you?
Yeah. So two big shifts for me. When I was a kid, money wasn't talked a lot around the house because I don't think like I would have understood the concept of money. So I always when I was growing up, I always felt poor because there was no money left over. Now I know that it's because they were feeding a mortgage, right? And they're just super frugal. But
Yeah.
I thought we were poor. I was like, we don't have money for this. Are you serious? Um, but yeah, so that sort of led me to have this mentality of conserve, conserve, conserve. And yeah, I mean, I'm able to run and survive on very little, which is good. But in the world of business, of investing, you're about expanding yourself, expanding your business, your investments. So it takes money to make money, and it was a big paradigm shift for me. And I was grateful to have just talked to a lot of people in my days as a real estate broker, to people of all walks of life who have been very successful, who are like, basically, like, Leo, you're looking at this wrong. Like, you need to learn how to invest and put your money to work. Give your money a job. Otherwise, you will be working for your money. So these are the sort of gradual shifts that I had just through that experience that helped me understand, hey, like, I need to invest and I need my money working for me, not the other way around.
hmm It's funny because I'm a natural spender and my husband's a natural saver. And so it's been an interesting dynamic on that. But I heard, so we've taken some courses learning just how to be smart with her money and stuff. And I heard Layla Hermosi say it the simplest way is she asks herself, is this an asset or is it a liability when she purchases something? And that really helped my frame. Like if I'm buying stuff, just it doesn't mean you don't necessarily do it, but at least you're aware of it and you think of that. And so if it's a asset, then that you can think of that like this is going to make it grow. It's going to make my money grow. But if it's a liability, then that's when you have to kind of ask yourself, is it worth it? And I liked that. So hopefully that helps the listener. Um, okay, now in real estate, what separates an operator from somebody that's just buying real estate?
So there's two ways to dissect it. There's one which is the kind of investor that when you hear real estate investor, most people think some guy who's flipping a house or doing a house hack or something like that. But, for us, we're buying commercial real estate. This is, call it 30 to 200 unit buildings. That way, the math is entirely different. Now, as far as commercial real estate, there's different roles, call it, within the table because commercial real estate is a team sport. So the operator is someone that does the actual day-to-day work to make the property run. So, managing teams that collect rent, that mail out notices, that are actually managing maintenance projects or capital improvement projects, bringing in new units, things like that, infrastructure projects, right? The list goes on. And versus there's what we call an allocator. These are fund managers. They basically they look at other operators. They're like, well, I think I like this person. I like what this team is investing in. So let me share this opportunity with my group. And that's the two roles.
Okay. Yeah. And so how do you know if somebody is if somebody wants to invest in something so they can get more passive income and make more money with their money? How would they define a good operator? Know what's a good operator? And
Hmm. There's a lot that just comes with experience, and I would say I personally learned a lot after I invested because I let my curiosity guide me. Because I'm like, okay, well, why am I getting more money this month than last month, right? And you sort of let your curiosity guide you. And so how you can tell a good operator, I would say there's a call it three key um, things that you can look at. Is one is what's their track record within the asset class? Is like, okay, let's say you're an operator doing mobile home parks like us. Well, like, how many mobile home park projects have you done, right? Like how many projects have you successfully executed on? Because everyone, when they're looking at an investment deck, they see this nice sexy number. They're like, oh yeah, this looks great. But like, how many times have you delivered on that number, right? Um, Another is how do you handle failure? Because people think that failure is this big scary thing that like winners never lose, but that's not true because the world is unpredictable and
Winners
things
lose a lot.
happen. That's right. But they get back up and they swing back harder. That's the difference, right? So sort of learning how they handle adversity, and sort of listening for that grit. That's very helpful. And three is just transparency, like communication. How easy is it to reach them and to figure out what's going on if you have questions? I mean, for the most part, because this is a passive investment, once you sign a check, you're like, that's more or less it. Like you just get investor reports and that's it. It's like you move on to the next thing. You're not putting your time and effort into this, buying yourself another job. But sometimes you want to know what's going on. And, there are different kinds of firms, like they operate differently. Sometimes like they send you off to some investor relations person that will, talk things up, and like be all optimistic. But then, for me, so I'm also a passive investor and I value talking to the people in charge. I want to know the people making the decision and what's going on with the project and how it's being handled. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I know like I can get a little bit, type A and like be a, backseat quarterback, but like I want to know it's my money at work. So that to me personally is important. Other people, not so much. So, figuring out the communication piece too.
If somebody were investing for the first time passively, how would they know it's a good source? Because I know I've known many people that they have a lot of money to invest, but they just are afraid to bite the bullet because they don't want to lose it.
Yeah. Oof. So when you're a first time investor, there's only so much that you can learn up front. There definitely is a decent amount that you can learn just seeing their website, checking out their material, seeing like basically how they're communicating with you so far. That's one way to find out. But there's also actually getting to know the team behind it over time. So a lot of our investors, like we encourage folks to just be spectators in our communities. So a lot of them they're on the email list or something. They get our occasional tips here and there. They watch our videos, and then a year later they're like, okay, through osmosis, I kind of learned enough. I kind of got enough comfort. So you don't necessarily have to rush into things. You can take your time, and a good sponsor is perfectly fine with that.
Awesome. Now, when you first started compared to now, how do you evaluate deals differently?
So definitely looking at the sponsor team a lot more, kind of gauging their track record, and then also scrutinizing. So because I'm both the general partner and limited partner, or I've been in both seats, I kind of know how the properties are run and like what can go wrong. So, I always ask to see their actual business plan, the assumptions that they're making. Like, hey, you're thinking that you can bump rents up like 6%. Like, why do you think that is? Like, where are your comps? Or like, hey, you're saying that you can save like 20% on your insurance. Like, do you have the actual quote? Actually just like taking a step further and seeing that. And you'll see sometimes like, yeah, I'm that annoying guy that sends 20 questions.
Are
But
you
but
analytical?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing
Yeah,
for people putting their money with you because
yeah.
you're probably a
I,
lot
I
more
don't mind it at
cautious.
all because I know I'm that person myself.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. Now, our mission is a one-stop tax strategist, that's the sponsor of the show, is to bring peace to taxes and purpose to profits to help you live more. And so we're going to jump into the next section of the show called Costly Confessions, your financial wins, misses, and the lessons you learn to keep more of what you earn. So we're going to jump into that. What is one financial mistake that you learned the hard way?
Everyone's a genius in a bull market. You know what? I thought I was all that back during COVID when people were making money in stocks,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I can just over index in this, and like I was buying all these penny stocks, and then the interest rates rise, and I was like, oh whoa, like watching your portfolio go down 30%, it's not a fun feeling.
No.
So now, I think that well, for stocks, there's a different way to play it, and like there's more risk management. But I think that teaches you as an investor to not be attached to your investment. Like you are the investor. You're kind of like the quarterback, like you don't try to force a play. Like Tom Brady, like he knows where to put the ball and he doesn't hesitate. And he's just like very pragmatic. And that's how you should be as an investor. You're like, hey, this investment makes sense. It's good. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to hesitate. Or I don't like this one. I'll pass on it for now. It's okay.
Let data drive your decisions, not feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think
Exactly.
that's a lot with business decisions. And two, like for me, I know you get attached to ideas in business too. Like especially if
hmm
you think something's going to
Yeah.
work, and just being willing to say, hey, that was not a good idea. We tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, what is what is one deal that you're glad you walked away from?
Oof. There's many deals that we walked away from. So in mobile home parks, what we do, a huge enemy is infrastructure,
Okay.
because these communities, they're 50 plus years old, and a lot of the utilities, I mean, if you ask inspectors, they're like, well, it's like 30, 40 years useful life. So this is technically beyond useful life. So there's many properties that we find issues with the infrastructure. And to ourselves, we're like, do we want to do it? So one example was we were looking at this property. It was serviced by a well, and well water. It's more nuanced because there's reporting requirements with the DEP and whatnot. So we saw this. It was on its last legs, and basically we would need to replace it. But not only do we need to come up with the money, we need to shut water off to this section of the community. That meant 20 residents being displaced, and like they're not going to have water for 5, 6 months while this whole project gets approved and replaced. So
Wow.
they're like, no, I don't think we could take a hit to the income and like, make this number make sense. So we walked away.
Yeah. Yeah. You learned it. That sounds like it'd be terrible. No. Now, have you ever been burnt out chasing growth?
Yeah. Yeah. I think as entrepreneurs, like we inherently just want to go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And like we don't know. And like how I know sort of I'm teetering with burnout is that your days kind of blend together, and like you kind of don't know what's going on, and you're just kind of like a zombie, like clicking on emails, responding to people, like going on autopilot a little bit.
Yeah.
That's when you know. And I think through just my experience being an entrepreneur, like I've learned to regulate my emotions and my mental state a lot better. So I know how to handle stress, what causes me stress, and like how I can reduce it, and how I can keep myself healthy. So I think those are really important things that get overlooked. It's at your body. Yeah, I know everyone talks about it, and it goes in one ear, goes out the other. But your body is the one that carries you day in and day out. So
It's
you
true.
have to take care of it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you work out every day, or what do you do to prevent burnout?
I do 4 times a week, but I think most importantly, which I will say is my weakness, is diet.
Okay.
Um, because health is like, in its simplest terms, it's a three-legged stool. You have sleep, you have diet, and you have working out or exercise. And most people, yeah, I mean, if you sleep 7, 8 hours, like you're fine. Well, there's like optimizing for that, but then you're working out. Okay, fine. Like everyone goes to the gym, but then if you eat like crap, which I mean, I'm definitely guilty of. I mean, I have a sweet tooth, right? And yeah, like that's when you lose your gains. Like you can't be. Um, you're only as strong as your weakest leg. Put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, I like that. And teeters. And then the other ones have to make up for it to hold the chair up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
good.
And one thing I will add too is so I signed up for MyFitnessPal again. Like I bit the bullet and like did their annual plan or something, so that it's easier to log my food. So you can like take a picture of it, scan the barcode or something, and it definitely helps a lot because you want to reduce the friction to things you don't like to do.
Hmm.
And that's how you make these things happen and do it more consistently.
I have to create like a punishment or reward. So like I've had it where my sister, because I wanted to track my food just to keep me accountable.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to pay you $100 if I don't send you my food for the day.
Nice. I like
it,
it.
it works. That's
Yeah,
what works for me.
consequences.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, I can never do this. I can never do this." Well, yeah, like you never gave yourself real consequences.
Yeah.
For me, when I was trading stocks and I was losing a lot of money. Well, I made a lot of money. I lost a lot of money. I ended up like net positive, fortunately, but
Good.
still, like after like losing, I don't know, like 30 something K in a day, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bank, I'm gonna take out some cash, and I'm gonna put it on the table, and I'm gonna be like, okay, what am I risking on this deal? $400. Okay, like put $400 cash on the table right now. Like, okay, I'm risking this. Then it becomes tangible.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what is one financial lesson that would have accelerated your growth massively if you would have known when you started?
Investing in yourself. So two great investments. One is like figuring out the right investment to do, whether it's like public markets, private markets, etc. But investing in yourself, and here's with an asterisk, because marketers nowadays, anyone can say like, "Oh, this is an investment in yourself," right? And yeah, so you have to make sure that it's the right product, right? I've spent well over six figures like investing into myself by this point, and it has helped me progress a lot faster. And in this world, like time is the constraint. We only have 24 hours. Like we want to achieve more, we want to serve more people and help more. So investing in yourself, you determine the ROI.
Yeah.
And for me, because of my frugality, because I was brought up so frugal, I'm so determined not to get a negative ROI on something. So I'm just going to make it happen.
What have you done to invest in yourself?
So different coaches, masterminds, programs, a lot of these things that, to some extent, like it's not necessarily the program itself that's going to change your life. It's kind of like the commitment to yourself that you're going to be better
Yeah.
and you're going to get a positive ROI from things. So me as an entrepreneur slash investor, like I view a lot of things in terms of ROI, like hiring an employee, like, okay, what's the payroll going to cost? Okay, well, how much do I receive? How much do I need to receive for it to make sense? Right. Instead of like, oh, it's going to cost so much money. I can't afford it. It's not that you can't afford it, but can your business afford to invest in this?
Yeah, I love that. Now let's shift into more of living more. What does living more mean for you?
It means more choices and more life. I think a lot of people, they have very narrow lives. And that's by design. You have to get good at something, right? I mean, look at me. Like my business consumes me. Like I work 7 days a week, but more life, meaning that you get to experience more things. And, whether it's spending more time with your family, whether it's traveling the world, trying new things out, new hobbies. I think that is absolutely, I mean, the human experience is just so broad, and like we get pigeonholed into these things, but you know, sometimes we just have to take the conscious step to make it happen. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And just to tie this together too, like part of the luxury I was able to afford myself is to invest and like have that certain level of cash flow, because I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I can hang around for a month in Asia and not feel bad because
Yeah.
I'm like net neutral cash.
Yeah. Now I was thinking that how traveling, even if it just to shift into the Asia thing,
Yeah.
traveling opens your mind and it expands your mind on how other people live. And it's my dad quotes this quote that he heard. I don't know who originally quoted
Yeah.
it, but it's basically, if you don't travel, you're only reading one page of the book. And
Oh
so I loved that. I'm like, that's so true.
my
It
goodness.
opens your mind and it really expands your mind on how there's a lot more ways to live and there's a lot more to the world than what we're exposed to at home.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'll take it a step further. Is that you know DEI used to be like such a buzzword, right? But I think if you break it down, like okay, like why is it even a thing? Like why are people saying like, hey, diversity is important? I think like seeing different perspectives and understanding it allows you to communicate to more people. And, you as a business owner, you're able to have products and content that resonate with more people, and that helps them uh, believe in you, want to do business with you, etc. And yeah, I mean, going to Asia, being in a completely different culture, not just food, but just how they view things and how they prioritize their goals in life. Because, Asia is a more collectivist society versus
Hmm.
America is very individualistic. It's about me, 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 me. And you kind of see it and you
Yeah.
feel the difference. And it just helps you become a more well rounded person.
Yeah, for sure. I'd agree with that. All right, we're going to jump into some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Risk or comfort?
Risk.
Okay.
Defined risk and a little bit of comfort.
Okay. Sometimes I've realized lately, this is something that I've been stewing on lately in my quiet time, is that I idolize comfort too much. And it's
Mm,
like, looking back at the end of my life, I'm not going to be like, I'm so glad I was comfortable. You're going to be glad for the moments that you take
yeah.
chances and, like you said, calculated risk. But yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly.
All right. What is underrated in leadership?
Empathy.
Okay.
People
Explain that.
think that you have to be this big, tough guy that shows no weakness and drives the bus and is a visionary, right? And you have to be like very demanding from your team. Yes, that can be true, and you can also be more empathetic, and that's going to be so much more valuable to your team because they feel like they're heard.
Hmm.
And when you feel heard, you work that much harder and you contribute things that actually matter. Like it's human psychology. Like I remember like in a classroom, like, if you have something to say, you put up your hand. And then like if a teacher doesn't call on you after a while, you kind of put it down kind of in like frustration. You're like, yeah, yeah, screw that. Like I'm not going to contribute to the classroom. So you as a leader, if you make people feel like they're heard, if you understand what's going on in their world, A, you can better work with them, you can get better outputs, and B, more comes from that. And for us, like for me running a small business, like, yeah, it's a lot of work with very few hands. So I need all the help that I can get. And people love it because I
Hmm.
pour into my people, I invest into them, I make them better people.
That's great. Well, and you kind of you were speaking it. I think an important piece is the humility, and like you said, you need all the help, but it sounds like you do that naturally, so that's a good thing.
Well, I don't think it doesn't come naturally. I think asking for help is such a counter logic to me.
Mm.
Like me, like I've lived in 5 different countries. I'm an only child. Like these things teach me to not need help, and like help is a sign of weakness to people. So it was very counterintuitive for me to finally kind of like go in, hat in hand asking for help, but like turns out no, like people are happy to help you. Like I I I'm that person for other people and I just don't realize that over the years. Like people come to me for advice, when their relationship has some hangups or like, when they're looking at some investment, like they come to me for advice. So other people are happy to do that for you. And you need to internalize that like I did.
For sure. I love that. What is one trait every successful operator must have for any
Grit.
business? Grit?
100% grit. It's not going to go according to plan. You're going to get punched in the face. It's important that you get back up and you duck, right? I mean, if you keep on going the same approach and expect a different outcome, that's the definition of insanity. But, if you get better, if you know to dodge, slip, then okay, you become a better fighter over time.
Yeah, I love that. Burnout happens when, finish that sentence.
When you don't manage your energy and stress levels. So, energy and focus are the two kind of resources that bring you life and that lead to your innate optimism for whatever you're doing. And if you're not optimistic, if you don't have the passion, like it feels like swap.
Hmm.
It just doesn't come naturally anymore. So, learning how to manage that. How do you manage your stressors? How do you give yourself energy? Do you have a list of rewards that you can give yourself? So that was something that one of my coaches taught me, is have a menu of feeling good items. Like for me, it might be going for a 5-minute walk. It doesn't have to cost money, but just
Hmm.
learn how to make yourself feel good. It might be like $15 for a lunch, treat yourself.
Love
It
that.
doesn't have to be big.
We're doing a move challenge with my team right now at One Stop. And we're letting them earn a whole day off just because
Nice.
at the end of tax season. And so it's just letting them
Oh.
move for
Yeah.
two 15-minute sections throughout the day. So just trying to
Mhm.
encourage them to move because it will tie into their work if they're not getting burnt out. We're like,
Yeah.
we're going to encourage you guys to move 15 minutes twice a day. Just get off of your
Oh, that's
desk and
great.
go. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I think a lot of people like that's what, that's how burnout happens, is that like people, they just, they work and work and work and they don't rest.
Yeah.
Like at the gym, I mean, look, you're bench pressing, like you go for 10 reps and then you rest.
Yeah.
Right? People forget to rest in work.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
that's why. That's why work doesn't come easy. That's why burnout happens.
Yeah. All right. Now, if you could leave our listener with one mindset shift today, if I can talk, I'm having to struggle. What would it be?
Take the action and take the life that you want, because no one else is living for you. Life will not be given to you. You have to take it. And without sounding super self-serving, uh, you have it's a balance, right? You have to reach, but also don't be that guy, right? Like don't like
Yeah.
it's hard to describe, but you have to ask for it in a tactful way that's true to you.
Love that. Be authentic in that. Now, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being direct and just what it took you to build what you have going on, and being honest and authentic with what it took to get there and how you're sustaining it. And if you're listening right now, you want a no fluff breakdown of manufactured housing investing, Leo's actually offering a free introductory training at that. Leo, you want to tell them about that?
Sure. So we have a simple 5-part course, teaches you everything about investing, passive investing, if it's for you, about our asset class, mobile home parks, and we deliver that straight to your inbox. It's 5 quick emails, and you can go to tiny.cc/MHP course. Or if you want to learn more about our team, get on our investor waitlist, talk to me, talk to our team, go to cornellcommunities.com, CORNELCOMMUNITIES.com.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll link that in the show notes. So if you guys want to just check it out, take a peek at what he's got going on, make sure you check out the show notes there. We'll also link any of his socials or any way to get in touch with him. So make sure you check that out. And don't stop here. Next episode is going to be packed with more value. We're going to continue to let it roll into it. So don't miss it. We'll see you there.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd ask that you leave a quick and honest review to help more business owners find the show.